Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Diversity Alliance's Cultural Awareness Month. And for this episode, we're going to be focusing very much on the Muslim faith. And previously we focused on the Jewish faith. And obviously we recognise there are many different religions and faiths that exist within the UK because we are so diverse, which is absolutely fantastic. But at the moment, we're just going to focus on these two. And I'm really excited to be introducing my guests very shortly. But before we get started, I'm going to introduce myself in case you've not met me before. My name is Gabby. I'm founder of Diversity Alliance and co-founder of the Diverse Speaker Bureau. Today, I'm wearing a white and red striped kind of top shirt. I've got my gold necklace on, I've got long dark hair, red lipstick, brown skin, and my background is beige, white, and I've got a little plant, my plant Chaz, sitting to the left-hand side of me. So that is me for today. And I'm going to introduce our guest who I'm really, really excited about introducing, because actually I met Natasha probably about 2.5 years ago, maybe online, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were very passionate around the diversity and inclusion topic and subject matter, and you really thought it was an important thing for our industry to be focusing on. So I'm really pleased that I'm going to be having this really interesting conversation with you today. But Natasha, please introduce yourself to us, your name, what you do, all of those exciting and interesting things that make you you.
Sure. Hi. So my name is Natasha Butt. Actually recently got married. Thank you. Hence I just point out the name change. So a few people know me as Natasha Lyle previously to that. So now Natasha Butt. I'm one of the co-founders and recruitment director of Expocast, and we specialise in recruitment very specifically for the world of exhibitions and conferences. So typically we used to say events recruitment, but as we know, events is a very, very broad term. So just to be a bit more specific there. So today I am wearing a long, dark, woolly jumper because the weather is incredibly unpredictable. I've got long, dark blondish hair that needs to be highlighted very soon. I've got an Islamic necklace on which says my name in Arabic there as well in silver, and I've got a funky backdrop that I created on Canva, which you pointed out earlier, Gabby, so I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, I loved it. It just really stands out, so I'm definitely gonna have to get onto that one. Really excited to get into this conversation because actually you come from quite a unique background. I think it's really nice because you kind of set up a little bit what that is, in that you've recently got married. You married a Muslim man and you reverted, and revert is so interesting because you actually taught me that kind of word or concept, because I thought if you were to change your religion from whether you were an atheist before or if you had a different religion before and you kind of change religions, I always thought it was convert, but you taught me something new when you taught me about revert.
There you go.
Could you just actually maybe explain what revert is, just for those who like me?
Yeah, of course. Of course. I mean, I had the same understanding as yourself. You know, if you convert to a religion or a new faith, you know, typically that is the term we would use. But what I actually learned, the word revert comes from the fact that Muslims believe that everyone is born a Muslim. So whether you know it or not everybody is. We would think not everybody is lucky to be born into that Muslim family, but you are born a Muslim. And if you're not born into a Muslim family, then when you take on the faith, you're reverting back to your natural form, or whatever you should have been, sort of from the very beginning. So it's called reverting rather than converting, which I think is really sweet, and also it gives a sense of belonging. And you don't feel like an outsider because you feel like you were always there anyway, and now it's just reignited. So the word revert, I think, is really special. I have to say, I think there's a little bit of controversy between the word. I don't think all Muslims like the term. Okay. That's what I've been told, but I've adopted it. I think it's really lovely. So yeah, that is the main difference.
What was your reason then for reverting to Islam? If you tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, of course. So I met a gentleman, now my husband, so there you go. And so we met, and he was a Muslim. We we met through work, so it wasn't really a conversation, to have at the beginning. It was just a natural relationship that grew between us, and the more the closer we got, the more I would ask questions and say, okay, well, what does that mean then, and why do you do that? And to be honest, the bit that I found fascinating was the amount of charity the Islamic faith gave, and that really took me back. I was like, wow. So just to give an example, there's like a small percentage of your disposable income each year that you're actually supposed to donate to charity, which is fascinating. And Ramadan, a lot about Ramadan is really experiencing what it's like to be without the pure basics to live, which is food and water. And if we can experience that, we become more empathetic, and when we're more empathetic, we're more likely to give and be more charitable. So that part of Ramadan is all about actually becoming more empathetic, so we are more charitable. And at the end of Ramadan in Eid, there is like a big you pay it's called zakat. It's a certain amount of money towards a certain amount of families that you feed at the end of Ramadan as well. So it's a very, very giving religion, and that's what I was fascinated by. And with Ramadan as well, I know that there's plenty of misconceptions, and we can talk about that later, but a lot of people, including myself, would have looked at Ramadan and gone, why are you fasting? That's crazy. That's not good for you. You need to stay hydrated, and it's really bad for you, and you shouldn't do that. And the fingers pointed and all that. And I thought it, actually Islam is a lot about looking after your body. It's a great the Quran is a great tool to how to live your life and how to look after your body, and how to protect it, and how to eat well, and it's just fascinating. And I'm a big one for going on various different detoxes and diets, and looking after my skin and all that lot. And so the religious side of it, I was like, oh wow, that's actually really good for me physically as well as my soul, and and mentally. So for me, the practices of the religion was quite overwhelming, and that was without the belief of God behind it. It was like the practicing. Wow, that's really amazing. So he taught me a lot about that. Sorry, going back to the original question. He taught me a lot about that, and then things got a bit more serious between us, and it was very much, if we'd like to do this properly, then I need to learn more about it. If I want to move forward, I need to learn more about it, because I'm not one of those people that can just do something for the sake of it. I've got to really believe in it. I'm very passionate about stuff, and I've really got to believe in it, as cliche as that sounds.
No, it makes total sense. It really does make total sense. And there's a few things I'm going to go back on that you mentioned in that. First one was when we were talking about those health kind of things, and I always feel like everything is just repackaged for today's society, right? Because as you've kind of mentioned, fasting is now incredibly popular because people realize the benefits and things that they can do for your body, like cell regeneration and all that sort of thing. Things like, obviously, meditation is a very, very old practice, but actually it's become popular in the well-being space now. And all we're doing is regurgitating what's always been
so true
in our lives anyway, right?
It's so true.
Society.
I know. And what's fascinating about it is, if you look at how old the religion is, and so if those things we know now scientifically are good for us, prostrating, praying, taking 10 minutes out of your day 5 times a day to completely calm yourself, how important that is, the fasting. If that scientifically couldn't be proved but was written in a book all those years ago, that to me is like, well, somebody knows something then. That's amazing. So you're very correct. It is just regurgitating those systems around, which is fascinating.
Misconceptions or preconceptions do people have about the Muslim faith, do you think, either from your experience or from your readings or learnings? Because I
Yeah,
feel like people do have a lot of misconceptions.
of course. And you know, I'm guilty of that as well. Before learning about the religion, very, very guilty of that. And actually, I'm still guilty of that because I've still not really put myself out there and learnt about other religions because I'm so now focused in what I love and what I'm doing. It's very easy to get in very kind of you know, single-minded about things. So I think some of the misconceptions, and I can only speak from perhaps maybe some questions my family and friends have raised about their worries about me reverting and about me being a Muslim now. A lot of it does stem around perhaps the way male and females are looked upon. So maybe that males are far more superior and important. I think there's definitely a misconception around that. And one thing I thought I'd share with you actually, which was mind-blowing for me when I heard it, is from the Quran. And it actually says in the Quran, who is the first person that you should love and respect? And it says your mother. And then it says, who is the second person you should love and respect? And it says your mother. And then it says, who is the third person you should love and respect? It says your mother.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. You know, so the Quran from God, or the prophet, peace be upon him, you know, that is coming from him. And, you know, that's basically saying all women are, you know, the person you should love and cherish and look after and respect the most. So to me, you know, that was really powerful. And there's a lot of we've got to look at the times in which the religion came to hand, you know, or you know, around men can have, you know, multiple wives and stuff like that. You know, in this day and age, you don't need multiple wives. That is just being greedy, having your cake and eating it. But back in the day, that was a form of protecting women. You know, there was lots of wars going on and women were left without husbands and that to fend by themselves with their children. Men used to marry lots of different women, you know, to protect them. You know, and so it's a different world now. And I just think we need to be a little bit open-minded as to where these things come from. And you know, so for me, I've not felt that at all. I've not felt that men are more important. And there's a thing about praying in mosque as well. Men are in front of the women. And I was a bit like, why is that then? Why do you get to go through that door? Why are we in this door? You know, and why are you in front of us? And it's actually because, you know, it's to help get rid of distractions. If a woman is in front of you bending over, that could potentially be quite a big distraction. And so it's little things like that. And I'm like,
just using common sense.
I'm like, yeah, I get that. I would get distracted. Yeah. So it's just, again, it's just lack of education around it, really.
Yeah, I mean, you're sharing like so much interesting information now, like I really, really seriously appreciate it. And I think a lot of people will be like, oh, okay, I didn't know that either. This is kind of what this interview, this talk and this podcast is about. Do you have any kind of recommendations from a perspective of books you might have read that helped kind of expand your learning around Islam and the Muslim faith that you might want to recommend to our listeners or viewers if they wanted to learn a bit more themselves?
Okay, so well, obviously the big book itself is the Quran, but that can be quite scary, I think, to just, you know, pick up the Quran. I've not even finished it yet, and I've been working my way through it now for God knows how long. But there was one book that I purchased. It was called Secrets of Divine Love, which it's more of a spiritual journey into the heart of Islam. So it's quite nice for actually Muslims who have maybe lost their faith a little bit and they're trying to ignite it. It's good for reverts, and it's good for people who just want to understand the beauty behind it. And I think that's, you know, we're all very accepting when we hear the good stuff, you know, and if you read the Quran, it might be a bit confusing, so you're not really getting that information out. But if you can read something which is I guess almost translating it for you in some sense and showing you the spiritual and the love behind the religion, that's a really good place to start. So yeah, that's The Secrets of Divine Love, and that was the first book I bought actually on Islam to read. Yeah, and it's easy to read. It's very sort of poetic as well, so it's a nice relaxing read. So yeah, I would
Who's
say
the
give that a
author?
go.
Who's the author?
A Helwa, so that's
Okay.
spelled Helwa, Helwa, A Helwa. You can get it on Amazon.
Yeah,
Actually, yeah, get it on Amazon. I think it was sort of £7, something like that. If I don't know why I remember that information. Useless information in my head sometimes.
And is there anything you'd just like to sign off with for today? If you want to leave a message for whoever's watching or listening, or
I just thank you to the Muslim community for a start, for accepting me with opening arms and teaching me and learn, and everything that I do and looking after me really. It's been amazing. Thank you to all those who don't understand the religion whatsoever, who have still really shown an interest. And I've had some fantastic conversations with a lot of women actually around the religion and how they've sort of perceived it or they've been told about it. Thank you to them for being open-minded and honest and having those conversations with me. And to all those employers out there, it's not just Islam, but try and educate yourself on the different religions and faiths, how that affects your employees, your future employees as well, not just your current ones, and who you're trying to attract into your business. It will help. It would certainly help. Sorry to bring back to recruitment, but it will certainly help in your recruitment process, and to actually be doing those things and being a pioneer of those things are really important. And everyone will follow. Talk to your employees and colleagues about what you've learned, and the rest will follow. And so yeah, just be open-minded and just be kind to one another. And yeah, that's it really.
Oh, what a lovely way to sign off. Thank you so much for your time, Natasha. I really appreciate it. And
Thanks for having me.
Soon.
Yes, thanks, Ariane. It's been great to chat, actually. I've loved it. It's been really good fun. Thank you.
Good, thank you.